All right, welcome to our masterclass in scoring every single mark. Have you ever looked at an exam question and wondered what the examiner is really looking for? Well, today we're going to take a real GCSE physics question, pull it apart, and show you exactly how to lock in every point.
And listen, when I say real, I really mean it. This isn't some mock-up, it's pulled straight from the official AQA GCSE Physics paper from June 2023. We're literally going inside the exam to see how the sausage gets made.
So that's the real puzzle, right? How do you take what looks like a complicated physics problem and just methodically turn it into a perfect full mark answer? Let's find out.
Okay, so what's the plan? Here's our roadmap. First, we'll decode the question itself. Then we're tackling two different calculations, one on potential energy, one on power. After that, we'll break down a written explanation question. And finally, we'll wrap it all up by mastering the mark scheme.
Right, first step. Let's decode the exam question. We're using question 4 from this paper as our case study.
You know, this question is a fantastic case study because it tests a few different skills. You've got your energy and power calculations, but then it throws in a question where you have to actually explain your thinking in words. So let's dive into that first calculation.
Okay, let's get into our first challenge, a classic potential energy problem. Let's see exactly how the marks are handed out for a calculation just like this one.
So here's the question. Calculate the mean change in vertical height of the water. Now, the good news is the examiner gives you everything you need. You've got the mass, the gravitational potential energy, and the gravitational field strength. The very first thing you've got to do is just pull out all that data before you even think about touching an equation.
Now, to make absolutely sure we don't drop any marks, we're going to follow this simple 4-step process. 1, convert your units. 2, pick the right equation. 3, rearrange it and plug in your numbers. And 4, calculate the final answer. Now, let's see how this maps perfectly onto the mark scheme.
And this is where we get the inside scoop. Look at this. Each one of those steps we just talked about is worth 1 mark. You get a whole mark just for converting megajoules to joules correctly. Another for substituting the values into the equation. A third for rearranging the formula. And the final one for getting the right answer. This is exactly why showing your working is a total non-negotiable.
But what if you mess up? What if you make a mistake right at the start? This is where a little lifesaver called error carried forward comes in. The mark scheme literally says to allow an answer consistent with their value of EP. That means even if you messed up the unit conversion in step 1, as long as you used your wrong number correctly in all the following steps, you could still get the next 3 marks. It's an amazing safety net.
And boom, that is exactly how we follow the process step by step to land on that full 4-mark answer of 15 meters.
All right, on to the next part, which is question 4.2. This one builds on the first part, but adds a couple of extra little twists. It's a calculation with power and time. Okay, so the question wants us to calculate the time it takes for a generator to transfer some energy, and they give us the power. Now, right off the bat, you need to spot the 2 potential traps here. First, the power is in kilowatts, not watts. And second, look at the end. Give your answer in standard form. You've got to get both of those right to get all the marks. And just look at this. 5 marks up for grabs. And again, they're broken down step by step. You get a mark just for converting kilowatts to watts. Easy point. Then a mark for plugging the numbers into the power equation, a third mark for rearranging it to find time, a fourth for actually calculating the answer, and that final, crucial 5th mark is for correctly converting your answer into standard form. And there you have it, 7.2 times 10 to the power of 3 seconds. Getting that final conversion to standard form, that's what separates a good 4-mark answer from a perfect 5-mark one. Okay, time to switch gears. We're moving away from the calculator and into a written explanation. So how do you nail a 2-mark descriptive answer? Let's look at part 4.3. The question is, explain why adding a solar power system improves the reliability of the electricity supply. So this time, it's not about punching numbers into a calculator. It's about applying what you know about physics to a real-world problem and explaining it clearly. So here's the deal, and this is straight from the horse's mouth, the official mark scheme. To get 2 marks, you can't just say something vague. They are looking for 2 very specific linked ideas. The first mark comes from saying that in summer, when hydroelectric output might be lower, solar output would be greater. The second mark is for explaining the consequence of that. This leads to less variation in the total power output, and that is what improves reliability. It's a cause and effect structure. Just look at the difference here. The 1-mark answer on the left, it's not wrong, right? Solar panels work when it's sunny, but it's incomplete. The 2-mark answer on the right is so much better because it connects the two power sources together and explains why the total supply becomes more reliable. It actually answers the whole question. All right, let's wrap this all up. Let's pull everything we've learned from this deep dive into your exam toolkit for mastering any question. These are pretty much the golden rules. First, always, always, always show every step of your working. We saw how every single line can be worth a mark. Second, check your units and convert them. That's an easy mark to get and an easy one to lose. Third, read the question like a hawk for specific instructions like standard form. Fourth, for those written answers, use that point then consequence structure. And finally, don't forget error carried forward. If you make a mistake early, don't panic. Keep going. You can still pick up loads of marks. So there you have it. Following these rules is the key to unlocking your full potential. You've now seen exactly how to break down a question and get inside the mind of the examiner. So our question to you is, what tricky topic should we break down for you next? Let us know.